Mandee,
Katie.
I found you and you're at home, and I love that for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It has
I
been
just got
quite
a
the
text.
2024.
Yeah, I just got a text from a person who I know doesn't listen to this podcast, who used to be a very, very good friend, and then they totally dicked me over. And I just got a text from them asking if I wanted to come house and dog sit their dog like next week. Yeah, no.
No, that'll be no. No is a full sentence. That's what is it on here that we've decided that no is a complete sentence?
And it is also my mantra for June.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually said that in my sermon on Sunday about Sabbath.
There you go.
No.
So
Sometimes I'll add thank you to the end just to be nice about it, but sometimes it's just in parentheses.
this one was a no and a screenshot and send it to Birch so that we could both go, oh my
Oh, I love that so much. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
God. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
so
Yeah.
Mandee, I think I found it last week. You said, "Oh my gosh, Katie, you don't think you can play softball?" And which was a revelation because usually if I watch it, I think I can do it. And that's
Right.
more specific to the Olympics. I have tried to play softball and that is not my cup OT. I'm not good at it, just like golf. But here's what I think we can do better. And have you listened to the Big Boo Cast this week yet?
I have not.
Okay, well, I'm not going to spoil it. It's not a spoiler kind of podcast, but they talked about this too. I think I found something that both of us would be 5,000 times better at than the current lineup in the softball and baseball college world right now. And that's being
Okay.
commentators.
Well, yeah, we can commentate.
I could, yes. So, did you watch the UNC LSU game?
I was working. So context for you. My friend Kelly, who I went to Chicago with, is a big Georgia Tech fan,
Love
a
it.
graduate of Georgia Tech. And so the night before the UNC LSU game, Georgia and Georgia Tech were playing.
Oh,
And we were going to dinner and Kelly took her iPad.
oh,
we
I saw
literally
that posted. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
we literally walked to
yeah,
dinner watching her iPad, set her iPad up on our
yeah.
table at a sports bar in Sandestin. But we ours was the only one that had the Georgia Tech game on it, and like there were several Georgia fans in the bar who like kept coming over to watch Kelly's iPad, and we're like, that'll be $1. So
Yes,
so
each.
anyway, we had just watched that game, which Tech lost in extra innings, heartbreaker.
Heartbreaker.
But so when the next day was the LSU UNC game, and I was like, so the text thread, the baseball text thread I have right now is with Kelly and our friend Casey, who's also a Tech grad.
Okay.
And Kelly was like, "Are y'all watching this game?" And I was like, "Who are we rooting for?" Because I'm a little partial to the LSU boys because
I
we
like the
were done
LSU
with them
boys.
last year.
That's who
So
I was pulling for.
yeah. So I wasn't watching it, but I was getting play by play
Okay.
commentary from them.
Well,
And
I am 100% sure they were better than the actual commentators because this is the sentence I heard, Mandee. This is the sentence I heard. If it's not going to be a strike, then it's going to be a ball.
well, listen, that's brilliant. That's some
That's all
brilliant.
you got, buddy? I think he meant because the count was such that one more ball would have been a walk. So I think he misspoke, but it came out super ridiculous. It reminded me of the time that I was on the way to the Auburn, Georgia game when I was like 10 years old. And back then, when you didn't have to wear seatbelts, Morris was driving. I was in the middle of the front seat, and my father was sitting next to me. And mom and Gogi were in the back with Charlie in the middle with no seatbelt on. And my father proclaims to the car, if Auburn is going to win, they have to score more points than Georgia. And I thought, this is that moment all over again. If it's not going to be a strike, then it's going to be a ball. Well, yeah, that's how baseball works.
So the thing
Man,
so I've just pulled up that text thread with Kelly and
yeah,
Casey because I remembered there were some good lines in there.
yeah. Oh Lord,
Um, Casey said she was talking about how you remember last year we talked about how old Tommy Tanks from LSU looked
yes,
like he had just left his job as a mechanic
yes,
and
it did. They
had to get
still
home
do.
to his had to get home to his 3 kids. Casey,
We did.
Casey said the LSU players look like they are 35
Yeah,
and may or may not be on parole.
yeah,
And they're obviously getting ready to be drafted by the Phillies because they've all got the crazy hair.
yeah. I think last year we decided that they were the rec league softball champions from Valdosta, and they all smoked Marlboro Reds and pushed their strollers for their kids in and out to the parking lot together at the end of the
And
game.
their wives are all pissed off at them
Yep.
because they own El Caminos.
See, this is the kind of thing that the people would enjoy.
Exactly. It would be much
So
more entertaining.
I know. I was listening to Big Boo today as I was out and about running some errands. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but they were talking about the commentators as well. And what I didn't realize, and I should have, is that half of the commentators weren't even at the games.
Yeah.
And one of them had their internet go out, and like for 5 innings, there was just one commentator for the whole shebang. Like I volunteer as tribute to go, like, you pay for my hotel room.
I
I think
mean,
you and I could like go and do these games and be better than what has happened this year.
you can't tell me that ESPN can't afford to send somebody.
Right.
It's only 16 regionals. Like,
I
come
know.
on.
Come on, we'll do it. You and I will do it. If they fired everybody and slim down their roster so much that they can't afford to do that, like, I'll go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like we would do a better job anyway. If it's not
Yeah.
going to
And
be
I'm
a strike,
kind
it'll
of
be a ball. Really?
really. Yeah. I hear you.
Okay.
That's funny.
So there's my baseball rant of the day. So right now they're taking a break because the softball women are doing their finals. Last night it's Texas versus Oklahoma, and I mean, it's kind of like, who do you pick for me? I mean, they're both coming to the SEC next year, but Texas is so super sensitive about that horns down thing that I just like making fun of them every chance I get. So I'm pulling for Oklahoma, I guess. And Oklahoma won last night. So tonight at 8 o'clock, this is a Thursday, by the way. So by the time this airs, it will have will have crowned. Well, we may not because it's 2 out of 3. But so it's 1-0 Oklahoma. So we'll see. But no college baseball until Friday. And then we
And
start regionals.
I don't know who I'm rooting for. I saw today. So, the regionals there's 16 regionals and there's
Yeah.
14 in each regional. And so they're ranked. Each regional has
Yeah.
1 to 4 seed.
Let's go look
And
up.
I saw today that we have more 3 and 4 seeds that have made it to the super regionals than have ever made it before.
It's crazy. So
Um,
Friday, when this airs, I mean, I know you're not going to pull for Tennessee.
that's what I was just about to finish my thought with. I tell you who I'm pulling for is whoever the hell is playing Tennessee at
So
any moment in time.
that would be Evansville,
Which
whoever
is,
they are.
I think they were the 1-4 seed that made it out of the regionals. That's the other thing. It just pisses me off because it's like, let them have the easiest road ever
I know.
to the College World
I
Series.
know.
Urgh.
I mean, I would pull for the Aggies are still in it. They play Saturday. Kentucky, North Carolina. I mean, there's some teams I could pull for. I can tell you who I'm not going to pull for, and that will be the University of Georgia and the University of Tennessee. I'm not
There
doing
you
it.
go.
Not doing it. So anyway, that's my rant and my update about college softball and baseball, that we should be doing this. I think we should put that out into the world. ESPN, we would be better.
There you go.
We even have your text chain that could be on the field commentators.
Heck yeah, they'd be great.
We'd be hilarious. People would definitely tune in.
They could at least do the alternate broadcast like they do with Peyton and Eli.
Right. When will they learn?
Yeah.
So I have been this week down in Tifton, as I said, doing some holy conferencing. Holy conferencing. And let me tell you, Tifton is just about the hottest place on this planet.
You say that like you're telling me something that would be news to me.
I know, right? Like, I have been in the mountains long enough to have forgotten. I mean, it was 95 degrees
I'm sorry.
already.
I just have to push back a little bit. Uh, you're from Macon.
I know. Look, I know it. The armpit of the South. I know it.
It's not the armpit of the South, but it is the hottest place on the face of the earth.
It's hottest place on the face of the earth. It was hot. And I was below the gnat line. And that's
Yeah,
really the part that I had a problem with.
now you know the trick.
Yeah. Let me tell you, they at Tifton First United Methodist Church, which was a beautiful church, and it was we went there for ordination service. And two of my friends one was commissioned and one was ordained. It was lovely. And it's a lovely church. But let me tell you, because the doors at the back were open, people coming in, there were 1,000 gnats flying around my face the entire service. I
Yeah.
had the bishop's wife behind me in stitches during very inappropriate moments.
You know what I bet would be very helpful in the gnat fight are those neck fans. You know, I have that neck fan.
That would have been a really good look for church.
Listen, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't care. I've given up.
We had the best time. We laughed and just found joy in life and in swatting gnats.
Good.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good South Georgia bonding
It
experience.
was nice. It was really good. It was good to see my people. It was nice. So that was really a great time. On the way home yesterday, I stopped at our favorite Holy Land, the Mecca of peaches, Pearson Farms.
Oh.
And the little child who was working in the Pearson Farms shop helped me with my box of peaches. And at 10 a.m., I got a thing of ice cream because, I'm an adult and I can do that.
Exactly.
And it was the best. I just
Good.
love that place. So now what I get to do, what I'm so excited about, can't you tell, is that I get to chop up peaches to freeze because I got a box of them. I don't know why I got a box and not just 5 or 6. So I was like, I'm here. I might as well.
Girl, I've already got 2 boxes that are going to be delivered throughout the summer. So I'm with you. I myself was driving back from Nashville. I'm like, where was I? I was in Nashville and I stopped in Montgomery. I texted our loyal listener, Elizabeth, whose grandmother used to live in Montgomery. Because last time Elizabeth came to my house, she was loaded with good stuff. And so I was
Yeah.
like, where do I stop in Montgomery?
Yeah.
So she gave me 2 places. And one was right off the interstate, and they weren't fully loaded for summer yet, but they did have some Chilton County peaches, which, are subpar, but also,
Yeah.
get what you can get. And so I had gotten a basket there, and then I went to the other place, which is actually like in Montgomery. And I also bought some more peaches there. So I came home with a lot of peaches that I too need to chop and freeze.
Yeah. So I'm going to chop today, which means I'm going to need another shower because it gets real messy.
It's worth it.
It's so worth it. It really is. I'm excited about it, but like I got home and I went, what? what? So Jay Moore, which y'all knows right up the road, I've talked about it, has peaches. And so that's where my hesitation came in, was like, I can run up the road to Jay Moore and get peaches, but let me tell you, up here, they have better apples than they do peaches. And so that's how I justified buying a box.
Well, and the other thing that I will share with you people is a product of the largest agricultural county in the state of Georgia.
Yep.
You want to buy your produce as close to the source as you can. They're just better. So even if you can get and here's the other thing, like Pearson Farm peaches, they have certain peaches that they ship to grocery stores. So like Whole Foods sells Pearson Farm peaches, and different grocery stores will sell Pearson Farm peaches. So you see those Pearson Farm peaches in your grocery store and you get excited and you take them home. But if you compare those to a peach that you buy at the farm or that they ship directly to you, you will see what a difference it is.
It's a huge difference. And these are early. They're not my favorite kind either, but like I said, exactly that very thing. I was like, you know what? I'm here. I'm close enough to run, even though it's 20 minutes off the interstate. I'm not going to pass on 75 Peach County and not go get some peaches. It's just, it should be a rule.
It's just sacrilegious.
It is. I feel like Bessie, my car, drives itself there, just like it drives itself to the Hot Now Krispy Kreme donut sign.
Right.
Like it's the same kind of pull. So I'm glad I did it. I'm really glad I did it. It was a beautiful day and they have plenty of peaches. So go, if you're anywhere near, like you said, any farm stand, go get the fresh produce. Do it.
Yep.
I have plugged, so there's another refrigerator in the basement here. I plugged it in because my freezer's full because I went to M&T Meats. And so I plugged in the other refrigerator so I'll have more freezer space for all this fresh stuff I'm putting up.
Nice.
So there we go.
Nice.
So Mandee, what's going on in your world, ma'am?
Well,
besides saying no.
Yeah. Saying no. When last we left, the nephew was graduating that evening. So we got him graduated. It was a nice service. There were no cicadas.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, we were afraid we were going to be dive bombed by cicadas.
Yeah. Yep.
And we were not, so that was nice. It was so they don't wear caps and gowns.
Okay, so I do have a question.
And you also have a question about the red border.
Yes, that was my question.
Everybody does. So anybody that's seen any pictures, so they don't wear caps and gowns, they only wear their blue blazers. And Will's blue blazer has a red border on it. That is a crew thing. Okay. And it's not just at MBA, it's any crew team at any school.
Okay.
Always have special blazers that have a border around it. So like he was saying, Georgetown has like navy blazers with the gray border.
Okay.
Like that's so that's just a crew. That's a indication that you are an oarsman.
Love that.
Yeah. So and I remember when he was first on the crew team and he was just dying to get this blazer. And Julie's like, why am I going to buy you a blazer with that red border? Instead of just a regular blue blazer, you just had a fit to have it. But so now we get it.
Yeah.
My dad was like, well, I don't understand. If everybody's supposed to be wearing the same thing, I mean, the football team doesn't have. And I was like, well, that's their fault for not being smart enough to think of a way to distinguish themselves.
There we go.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's sort of like a cord, that other kids wear. But yeah, so they just wear their blazers and their khakis, and they processed in behind bagpipes.
Like a core of bagpipes, not just a bagpiper.
That's true. It was lots of bagpipes and drums and like the whole
thing.
Yeah. And so Will comes walking by us, and all of a sudden Lewis, who was sitting behind us, was like, spit out your gum. I was like, oh my God. And my initial reaction was to stick my hand out so he could spit it in my hand because,
Of course it was. Of course it was.
He did not do that. He swallowed his gum. Okay. But yeah, the Caldwells are going to Caldwell.
Love it.
But other than that, it was great. And so then their other tradition they have is that and I knew there was a cigar thing because he had been talking about, and Lewis had gotten him some nice cigars. I didn't realize it was immediately after the ceremony. So
Oh,
by the time they've processed out and then their professors processed out, and it was neat because when they came in, the the band was first, the bagpipe band was first, and then the boys lined the route, and then the professors came through the boys. Well,
oh, I
then
like
once they
that.
graduated, the professors went first, and the boys processed out through the professors. So, or the teachers, I guess they're not professors, but
That's
um,
really sweet.
but yeah, so that
I
was a
love
cool thing.
that.
But they lit up immediately after that. So
I
by the
love
time
it.
we all like got down there, you could see this cloud of smoke of all these boys with their cigars. So that was funny. And then they do the weirdest thing. They had to go back. So graduation started at 6:30. So it was like probably 8:30, 8:45 by the time we got back to Julie's. They had to be back at the school at 10 for a mother-son dance that was from like 10 to 11:30. And then the boys stayed at school until 4 in the morning. And I guess they just don't want these boys going off and getting in trouble on graduation night. And
Okay.
so Julie said that when they got back for the mother son dance, they had U-Hauls backed up and they were offloading like real legit poker tables. Like this weren't
Yeah.
like for real poker
Yeah.
tables. They had a giant like inflatable it looked like a jumpy house, but Will said it was an obstacle course. They had that set up on the football field. They had raffles. Like his roommate won an e-bike. They were,
The world.
I mean, bougie as all
Yeah,
hell.
I was about to
Um,
say.
but anyway,
Tell
so
me
yeah,
you're bougie without telling me you're bougie. The
right,
truck backs up with the poker tables.
a real felt covered poker table.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, but nobody got in trouble, so that was
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So anyway, so all that was good, and then I made my way home on. Well, we had a graduation party on Saturday. Oh, Friday. So Friday, that was all on Thursday. On Friday, my mother had her first portion of her test. Vanderbilt does this great thing where they have OTs and you can go in and they will evaluate your loved ones for whether or not they are still safe to drive. Which what
Again, I
a service.
say every teaching hospital should have this service for people.
I mean, it's so nice because it's not you telling your parent they can't drive anymore. It's
Right.
somebody else.
A professional PT, like they're like actual medical professional.
Yeah. So after her surgery, you know, we had some concerns. And so she had her first part, and it's a two-part thing. The first part is in the office, and they do like, so one of the things they did was there was this board and it had all these lights, different, like, I don't know, probably 100 lights on it. And they would light up, and she would have to press them as they lit up. And so that was sort of the first one. And then they had pedals and, like stop, going from flooring it on the gas to stop, and see how fast her reaction time
Yeah.
was, that sort of thing. Then they had the cognitive portion. And the good news is she aced that. Although, my mom was a school psychologist.
Yeah.
And so she used to administer all these tests. So I said to the OT, I was like, she can game this portion
Yeah.
of our afternoon. So the OT like switched up the words and stuff that she used and used different ones, but mom did fine. Like she did great with all that. So
How were her
um,
reflexes?
that was a little delayed. The light board was a little delayed. And so we actually asked, mom was like, well, because she is my mother, she was like, well, now what can I do on the one, that was the one area where she was sort of slower. And she's like, well, what can I do to improve? And and then I said, well, would her vision affect that at all? Because when they asked her if she wore, like she had on glasses, and she's like, oh, these are just readers. And so she took them off. And she said, but I do have glasses that I wear
Mm,
when I drive, but I didn't bring them. And so I'm still not 1,000% sure what the story is there, but
yeah.
so I said to the OT, I said, could her vision affect her performance on that test. And she said, well, yeah. And she said, why don't we just check your vision while you're here? Because we can.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, sure enough, her vision was 2200.
Oh, okay. That's not just readers, ma'am.
Right. So the second portion of the test is an actual driving test where the OT takes her out in a car and they
God bless them.
start in a parking lot and go to like neighborhood streets. And if she does okay with all that, they'll eventually like even get on the interstate and like
Yeah.
so they know. But she was like, I would suggest you go to the eye doctor before you come for the second part of your tests.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so we got that done. I mean, it was a 3-hour tour. Friday afternoon we did that, and then had a graduation party for Will and his he and 2 other buddies. So like all their families and several friends came. So that was fun. And then I made my way home on Sunday, and Kelly was here. When I got here, they were staying at Sandestin. It was just her kids, her 2 younger kids, our buddy Sanders, and Sanders' little sister Addie are on choir tour with Noonan First Methodist right now. And so Kelly and James were coming to the beach, and of course James ended up having to work, so he didn't get here till Monday night. And then he left Wednesday morning. But anyway, so Kelly and I have had fun. We've been to dinner every night.
Good.
Yeah. So that's been good. And now I'm just working.
Look at that. You actually get to work and
right,
earn a living.
Yeah. So and watching all the baseball, Vandy boys, God almighty, Vandy boys.
I know.
They laid a turd on
did.
Friday, and then Saturday, their poor leadoff hitter, Jonathan Vastine, they were the home team. So we started the game. He was in the field, go to commercial. This game was on ESPN. You know, it wasn't just streaming. It was actually on ESPN. So on national television, they come back from break and there's no Jonathan. And it took a minute. Like the game was delayed, and they're like, why is Corbin at home plate? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And finally they're like, oh, well, where's Jonathan Vastine? And, you know, at that point, everybody knows the kid's in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
when you got to go, you got to go.
So bless his heart, he came out, he struck out. And then when they came back to, this may have been on Friday because I missed all this because I had to take Mom to the doctor. But when they came back out and he was in the field, I think he vomited on the field.
Oh no!
He had to like be escorted. This was the first game. Yeah, so he had to be escorted out. And then he didn't even play in the second game. Bless his heart. But yeah, they just stunk it up. Poor things. It just wasn't our year. For college baseball. So they are out of the tournament.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Braves are still sort of on the struggle bus.
Yeah, without Acuna, I don't know. I mean, that's a big loss.
It is a big loss, but they have enough to overcome it if they can just get it all going.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then the Cubs have also been on the struggle bus. So it's just been a hard season of baseball right now.
It is.
But that's all right. We ended up watching some Olympics in between baseball games.
Yes.
We were watching the women's gymnastics.
Yes.
And again, I will reiterate the need for my sister to be a guest commentator during the Olympics.
We need to do that.
Listen, it's hysterical. Snoop has nothing on my sister.
We are a joy to begin with. Add your sister in and it gets to a whole new level.
It's great. So it was fun to watch some Olympics with her. And then I was watching by myself at some point the men's meet. And so that leads us to our Olympic moment.
I saw a snippet of this. I'm glad you put it on here, though. I want more details.
So I'm assuming they were in Indianapolis. I don't know this. But
yeah, a lot is in Indianapolis. We should be living in Indianapolis right now because the swimming trials, they've built the pool, so that's
That's where
coming.
my sister participated in the Olympic trials. Was
There
in
we go.
um, but the former Indianapolis Colts quarterback Andrew Luck was in attendance at this men's gymnastics meet, and they were talking about the fact that several of those men's gymnasts are Stanford, either grads or
Yeah,
students. And so is Andrew Luck. And so he has taken it upon himself to, I don't know that he's like officially sponsoring them,
yeah.
but he is supporting them such that they are staying at his guest house. He is going to the farmer's market and picking up
Oh my
fresh
gosh.
vegetables so
This
that
is
they can have healthy food.
he's Flavin' it.
He is in attendance at the meets and is fired up at their performances. Like, you just love to see it.
I love it. I love it. I love this trend. This is my favorite thing about this Olympics so far, besides Simone, because, she's I think everybody's favorite little stick of dynamite flipping around everywhere. But I just love that all sports really have gotten a boost from outside the sports world. And that, not that Andrew Luck is outside the sports world, but he's definitely from a different sport. I love that. I
Absolutely.
love it so much. I
It's
love
nice
he's
that
going to the farmer's market to
going
get
to
a
the farmer's market.
vegetable. Can we follow him on Instagram or something? Like, where are you seeing this?
They were talking about it during the meet. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
He
Gotcha.
left, he retired and sort of
Right.
fell off the face of the earth on purpose. There's a
On
great
purpose.
podcast actually about that whole scenario. Um, so he may not be very active on social media, would be my guess.
I love it. I think NBC Olympics maybe had something about it. That's where I just caught a little snippet of it, but I have not been able to watch. Now that I'm done traveling, I'm ready. Like I'm set. I'm ready to do all the baseball things, all the sports things in preparation. So I can't wait to follow up with all this. So thank you for that.
Sure. Sure.
So last week I got it's my turn to do food. So last week, I talked about how I went to J Moore and the Silver Queen was starting to dribble in and I got some. So I thought I would share my favorite kind of corn recipes, if you want to call them recipes, but ways to
Yeah.
do corn. And then I wanted to ask Mandee how she liked to do it as well. So in the show notes, you'll see I on the cob. There are two different ways that I have done it this past week. So the first one I did was just how Mama always did it, just boiled it in some salted and sugared water for about 20 to 30 minutes and then slathered it with butter. And that's great. It was really good. But the way I liked it better, I think because I used a lot more butter than I did when I just boiled it, was roasted in the oven. So I shucked it completely. There's a way to do it with the husks and not the silks, but I just went ahead and shucked it, just rolled the whole thing in a layer of butter and then put it in aluminum foil. You flip it about halfway through, but you do it at 425 for about 30 minutes. And it was delicious. I probably, because I use unsalted butter, I probably would add a little salt to it next time as well to do that. Then the other way that I do fresh corn is I just slice the kernels off the cob and saute it in butter and, why not a little bacon grease for about 8 to 10 minutes. And that fried corn is delicious.
Nice talking.
Yes. So, those are my ways to do fresh corn. Mandee, how do you do your fresh corn?
Well, Katie, I'm here to tell you,
Microwave?
I basically eat it raw.
Oh, okay.
That's my favorite way to eat it, is to just cut it off cob and mix it up like sort of your recipe that you have for salad.
Yeah.
Mix it up with, I do like tomatoes and goat cheese and
Yes.
basil with a little
Yes.
red wine vinaigrette.
Yes.
That's my favorite way. Now,
Okay.
if I want it warm, like if I've made something and I want like warm corn on the cob,
Yep.
then I will shuck it. I will wrap it in a wet paper towel and I will microwave it for maybe 30 seconds.
Okay. I've not tried the microwave thing yet, and I want to, but I love corn. I grew up with corn on the cob. My uncle grew corn for a long time, so we had fresh Silver Queen growing up. I love it. I'm a typewriter girl.
Mhm.
There's some people that go around the outside, and that is just
They're wrong.
Satan himself
That's wrong.
eats corn that way. But I typewriter it, and I make the biggest mess. I save it till last because I love it. Like once I start, I just go because it's my favorite thing. So I do like it on the cob, and I eat it a lot that way. But the fried is a good way for me to kind of do it without wearing it all over my face.
Yeah.
Because it's embarrassing. I don't know how else to eat it on the cob without being a mess.
Oh, well, no, that's part of it.
Yeah.
The thing about it is the way I like, again, on my earlier rant about buying your produce at the
Yeah.
source, if like I eat corn in like June and July.
Yeah. I don't eat it any other time of the year or tomatoes.
And so yeah, so I'm not gonna that's why like I want it. And if it's good, you do get sometimes it's not good. And if that were the case, then I might roast it or boil it for a long time.
Yeah.
But if it's really good,
That's
all it
very true.
needs is just 30 seconds in the microwave. And that's a whole, like, that's my lazy way of eating corn. Because otherwise, when you go to cut it off the cob, talk about a mess, then you got a big mess that way. So I have
Yep.
to really be in it to be cutting it off the cob, even though it's a whole lot easier to cook or
Well,
a lot easier to eat that way.
I found okay. So if I'm doing a bunch of them to get it off the cob, like to do cream corn or whatever, I'll put it in a bundt pan
Yeah.
and do it that way and catch it in the bundt pan. But really, just when I did the fried, I did that more than once last week. I just put the thing on a plate and just got on, I mean, a few kernels went hither and thither, but not many.
Well, I saw recently somebody you lie it on its side and just cut it instead of
Oh,
scraping it. And I thought, well, now that's a thought.
there's a thought.
I will say too, if you're looking for some cream corn, go to Jennifer Garner's Instagram page.
Okay.
She just posted the cutest video with her mother.
Oh,
They were in West Virginia and she was making cream corn with her mother. And that
love
recipe that
cream
she
corn.
posted is about how I've always made cream corn. So
And let me tell you, we were talking about the fellowship dinner at my church that was going to happen this Sunday, and there
uh-huh.
was cream corn, and God help me, it was delicious. I could have just turned the whole thing up and just drank it it's so good.
So good.
So good. So,
I
thank you
like
for
that little
that. I like
remember
the
that
30
little boy?
seconds in the microwave thing.
Remember that little boy last year that was like
Yeah.
at the county
Cone.
fair somewhere? I
I
love
love
cone.
cone.
Hmm.
Right.
That's
So
us.
the other recipe I have is my summer go-to, like we used to have supper club or a book club when you want a salad in the summer. Everybody loves this dish. Loves it. I never have any left. I always have to double it if I'm going anywhere. It is a huge hit and it's so easy. It's a lot of chopping on the front end, but it is so good. And you can use fresh corn. You absolutely could. But I like the white shoe peg, which you can get year round. But even then, with the cucumber and with the tomatoes, I like it better in the summer. It is a
Yeah.
summer dish. So the recipe's in there, but you chop up, you get the cans of corn and mix it with onion and cucumber and tomato. And then you make a dressing and it's sour cream, mayo, vinegar, dry mustard, which is a very underused spice, I think. And then salt and pepper. And then you just mix the dressing together and pour it over the vegetables. And that's it. It is super easy. It is always a big, big hit. And so I included that even though I don't normally use fresh corn, I included that so y'all would have it. But it is delicious.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
How do you seed a Roma tomato?
So that is never fun. So what I do is I cut the top off and kind of scoop out all the seeds and then chop it from there. I find it easier to do it that way, is to just
feel like I would be skipping that step if I were doing it.
Well, it just makes if you put the seeds in there, it makes it real watery, but the
Do you think
dressing,
you could just squeeze the tomato?
you can, yeah. However, yes, absolutely.
I would
Yeah,
be more likely to just
you can do that.
squeeze
I
the
think I've done that
tomato.
before, and it helps you get your frustrations out. Just squeeze the heck out of that
Just
tomato.
getting the innards out is the
Yeah,
goal.
yeah.
I might
Because
just
you want one because if you use like a big beefsteak, it's mainly seeds, so you
right.
wouldn't have enough. So that's why I use the little aromas. You could even, I have done this. So with a cherry tomato, I'll have them and just leave the seeds in because
Okay.
there's not as much water and liquid, but it
Yeah.
really does thin the dressing out too much if you don't seed the aromas.
Okay.
I've tried it.
Okay.
I've tried the lazy way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm asking because I just
Yeah.
want to make sure
Yeah. And I
there's a
usually
necessary
use
component.
right. I use the English cucumber
Yeah.
and I eyeball it. I usually don't use the whole thing. Like I'll use half of it and then I'll do the other half and make the cucumber, marinated cucumbers that I love so much. But I'll take out, even with the seedless, I'll take that middle part out and just use the outside that's firmer because it'll make that dressing too watery.
See now, because listen, if I'm gonna be paying $1.14 for my seedless
I
cucumber
know.
instead of 79 cents,
Well, you could just, it
the
would,
beauty
yeah.
of it is that you don't have to do anything with it.
Mm-mm.
Listen, can you tell how lazy I am?
Yeah. Well, it is chop heavy. It is very chop
I
heavy.
don't mind that. Like I'm
Yeah.
fine to chop. I'm sort of, I guess that's part of why I love Smitten Kitchen is because she's always like figuring out what you really have to do and what you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah.
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 So
But even with the seedless, that inside part is still more
mushy.
watery.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to
Yeah.
know. Good
So
to know.
enjoy, enjoy, enjoy.
Absolutely.
So I am so excited about your favorites, Mandy, because that first one I have bought one for myself and I love it. It makes me feel so bougie.
Right. So it's an espresso coffee maker and a milk frother.
It's that frother.
So I've had one for probably 5 or 6 years. And it was the original Nespresso. My friend Leslie, who lives in New York, had introduced me to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Chelsea had a milk frother, it's the Breville milk frother.
Yep.
And so I've had that for like 5 or 6 years. And when I was going to Nashville before my mom's surgery, I like packed it and took it with me because yes, I am that person.
Yeah.
I think like if I'm going somewhere, like my sister has decided she's a coffee drinker. And so like when
Oh.
we're staying in a hotel room and she tries to make herself a cup of coffee in the, little Keurig that they have there with the powdered milk and stuff, like I'm like, you're not gonna like that. You're not gonna
Mm-mm.
drink that. So
No.
I'm not that picky. Like I can drink that. I can drink a
Yeah.
hotel room cup of coffee. But if I'm going to be going somewhere for like 2 weeks or six
Yep.
weeks, as it may be, I'm gonna take it with me.
Yeah.
Um, so I took it the whole setup with me to Nashville and had it at my mom's house, and she was having one like basically every afternoon. And so I was like, Mom, do you want to just keep that and I'll just order myself a new one? And so she was like, yeah. So I have ordered a new Nespresso and I decided to try their, I think it's Vertuo. I don't know. It's not the original, it's the other line because they offer a wider variety of types of coffee that you
Yes, they
can make
do.
in that one. I will say it's been a real trial and error
Okay.
venture so far because all of the coffee is very strong.
See, that's how I like my coffee.
So and I like strong coffee too. But I mean, all of this is like very
Yeah,
strong.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha.
So it's been sort of and just figuring out the mix. And I also, instead of getting the Breville milk frother, which is like an actual pitcher, looks more like
Yeah.
if you go order in a real coffee shop, the pitcher that they use to steam the milk on an espresso machine, the Breville looks like that. It's not that, but it looks like that. I got a whole package deal and I could
Yes.
get the Nespresso cheaper if I got the Nespresso frother. And
Yes.
it's just like a little tube. And I
Yep.
feel like it doesn't hold quite as much milk. And so I think I'm probably like, I've just got to work
You
out
gotta
the
work out
whole
the yes.
ratio of where I'm going with everything. But in any event, it is just a delightful coffee
It
experience.
is.
The Bargers love a good pour over coffee, which makes a
Okay.
great tasting coffee. I myself am not up for that early in the morning
That takes a
and
lot of
all of the
effort. Yep.
maneuvering, right? Like
Yes.
I'm not into that. So um I like the Nespresso because it gives you a good cup. You can froth your milk and have your whole latte
Yeah.
situation in at home. Yeah.
I
So
have thought, because right now I just have a little 4 cup Mr. Coffee drip. It's perfectly fine.
mhm,
Um, and I run the gamut of when I go to, I will not name a certain friend's house. Their coffee is basically the color of sweet tea, and that's not nearly strong enough for me.
yeah,
Like it takes 4 pots of it to wake my eyeballs up
right,
because I'm like, you can see through this. That's not how coffee's supposed to be.
right.
Versus my friend Christine, who has that whole setup and introduced me to the Nespresso frother. Um, I have definitely thought about switching over.
Yeah. No, I mean it ends up being more expensive because then you have to buy the pods.
Then
And
you have to
these
buy the pods.
the
And how
pods
do you do your cardamom? That was my other question. Do you do a syrup? I guess you have
so
to do a syrup.
when I have done it in the past, I've just sprinkled it in the frother as it's frothing and
Yep.
have it in the milk.
Okay.
Um, so I would probably, if I were giving advice, I would say I would probably start with an original Nespresso. Um, unless like this Vertuo, like I can yesterday I made some and they do have original pods some like in the summer that they'll sell that you can do this, but like I made iced coffee yesterday.
Okay.
They have regular coffee that's not espresso that you can make on this machine. It's very strong.
Yeah.
But so but I think if I were starting out, I would probably just do a regular Nespresso machine, get the original. Those pods are a little less expensive. And so
Okay.
if you're just trying it out and making sure you like it, I would start there. And like I said, I had it for like 5 or 6 years and loved it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like I was looking to replace it. I just
Right.
gave it to my mother.
Right. Right. Right.
The so you end it ends up being a more expensive daily coffee experience than
Sure.
your regular coffee maker, which is what I had. Um, and I still have that coffee pot. It's in my storage unit because I don't have room for it. But
Right.
sometimes you just want some coffee and not a latte.
Yeah.
Uh, so and I think these pods are like a little over $1 each. Versus the original pods were like 80 cents each. So I mean it does, and that all ends up being a little more expensive than and the original Nespresso you can find like you don't have to buy Nespresso branded coffee
Right.
pods. I don't think the Vertuo comes in anything. Like I think you have to buy
You
those
have
from
to buy those.
so yeah.
It's definitely something that I've thought of, and it's something that I think like I think I may pull the trigger on, especially with so, I live in a parsonage. And for a long time, um, didn't think my circuits could handle any more electricity on that one plug. Y'all know I only have one plug in my kitchen. So I was just doing the coffee pot and the microwave, which I don't use the microwave very often, but when I do, like it anyway. But now that we know for sure that I can run a coffee pot, a microwave, not like all on at the same time, but and like I've gotten it where I can do that, that maybe I could do the frother because I've got a little handheld frother, but it doesn't heat it up. And so then I'm
Right.
like, this is not
Yeah.
cutting it.
Yeah.
So I may pull the trigger on that now that I know I can plug everything in.
And I would get that Breville frother.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Instead of the
I'll
Nespresso?
I'll link it. I'll link it in here. But yeah, it's
Okay.
just you can do more with it. Like you can heat water in it. So like if you just want a tea, you know,
Yeah.
you can make your hot chocolate in it. It's just a little more. It's a little more expensive, I think, but it's also a whole lot more
More
versatile.
versatile. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for advice on that. I appreciate it.
This has been our coffee talk episode segment of
So,
our.
before you continue, I have a friend and he sent me this picture. Guess where he is, friends? It's a picture of
Ambleside Village
breadsticks. What he
Pizza.
failed to do was get them extra sloppy. But you ordered, I can look at them and tell, but you ordered wrong.
Oh boy.
Extra
My
sloppy.
next favorite is the Tucker Nut sample sale.
If I had, is this still going on?
No, so this
Dang
was
it.
I have been able to reap the rewards
How
of
did
this.
I miss this?
So it was, I want to say it was like in January or something.
Okay.
And I got 2 summer dresses and a top, all for like fewer than $200.
What?
And I have been wearing those 2 dresses now that it's hot. I have been wearing 2 out of them. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, and I will of course alert everyone.
Yes.
When the time comes of the Tucker Nut sample sale. I will also say my sister was like, I just saw Tucker Nut sample sale, like an ad for it on Facebook. And I said, I don't think they're having a sample sale right now.
They had a Memorial Day sale.
Yeah, but then sure enough, they posted,
Okay.
we are not having a sample sale right now. There are several fraudulent ads being run. Do
Okay.
not buy from them. So just beware that it's actually Tucker Nut. But they had some really good screaming deals, and I have reaped the benefits from signing.
I love that.
I just wanted to shout out the Tucker Nut sample sale. And then the last thing I have is a little music, and I had to go back and look and be sure, because I thought for sure I would have talked about her by now, but I have not.
You have not. I'm going in right now.
Kim Ritchie. And she tweeted yesterday she's got a new album out, and it's like on the top 10 in the Americana albums. But we have been big Kim Ritchie fans in our house since the late 90s. My sister dated a guy who was an assistant to one of the it was Mercury Records, which doesn't exist anymore. But he gave her a Kim Ritchie CD way back in the day, and we started listening, and she's just great. And she comes to the 30A Songwriters Festival every year. And so the first year that Jason came, I volunteered so that I could get free tickets, because you can go, like, you get your tickets for free if you're a volunteer. And I ended up working at a little venue just down the street from me, and Kim was singing, and I was like, oh my God. And so I ended up like chatting Kim up, and
I love that.
Had the best time. And she actually sang backup vocals on Southeastern, Jason's album, on 2 songs. And so we were talking about that, and I said, well, Jason's playing, on the main stage tomorrow. And she's like, no. And she's like, I'll have to go. And I said, you should just jump up there and sing those vocals with him.
You should.
Like, no. I'm like, come on, Kim. So sure enough, the next day when I was at the Jason concert, they have like a roped off area for the artist, and she came walking up, and I was like, Kim, and she was like, hey. And I'm like, go on up there. And she was like, you're crazy. I'm not doing it.
Yes, I'm crazy. Yes.
Fast forward to like 2 years later, and Birch and I actually bought tickets that year, because not only was Jason headlining one day, Brandy Carlisle was headlining. So we actually bought tickets. And again, Brandy was playing on the main stage, Kim singing in the roped off artist area. Well, Brandy spots Kim from the stage, and it's like I don't think she was in mid song. I think she was talking about something, but she was like, oh my God, is that Kim Ritchie? Kim. And she like waves, and then she starts playing one of Kim's songs, and she's like, this song, y'all, it got me through. Like, when I first started touring, I would play this song all the time. And she was like, Kim, would you come up here? So lo and behold, if Kim Ritchie didn't go up on stage with Brandy Carlisle and they play a couple of Kim songs, I mean, it was just,
I love it.
Fast forward again to like several months later, and Brandy's doing, I don't think it was a whole like Ryman residency, but she was definitely playing a couple of nights at the Ryman.
Yeah.
And guess who her opening act was on the first night?
Kim Ritchie.
Kim Ritchie.
I love it. I can't wait to listen.
Yeah, so she's sort of like yesterday when I was listening to that new album on Apple Music, it was like other artists, similar artists, and it was
Yeah.
like Patsy Griffith was like one of the ones that
Yeah.
compared her to. So it's that sort of vibe. She's just a beautiful songwriter, beautiful lyrics. Now I will say I was laughing because my sister always makes fun of me for listening to depressing music. She's great. Listen, if you're going through a breakup,
She's
you're
your
going to
girl.
listen to some Kim Ritchie music.
Hell
Like
yeah.
she is your girl. So it's pretty mellow and some
I
might
love
say
that.
depressing. But it's just great. She's
I love
great. So
it.
yeah, I would
Well,
recommend some
thank
Kim
you for
Ritchie.
that.
Old and new.
Old and new.
Yep.
I love that. Well, what do you have coming up? I know what it is you're going to say.
Not a thing.
Good, 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 good.
Not a thing. I've got to drive to Panama City today for a client meeting because this woman's husband is an asshole.
Shocker.
So I have to drive to Panama City because I'm being really nice to these people. And then tomorrow I'm going to the dermatologist for my annual check. That's
Fun.
fun. Yeah, right. We'll see what sort of cancer I have this year, but that's really it.
Hopefully none.
Yeah. How about you? What's going on in your world?
So this coming week I start writing my ordination paperwork for step 1. It's a lot of steps, but
So what, like, is it filling out? Does the paperwork? Is it like filling out forms, or is it like?
no, it's writing. It's writing. People write like it could be up to so in Florida, for Georgia doesn't have a page limit, but in Florida, for example, they say it can be 42 to 45 pages. If it's 46, we won't read it. So that may give you like a general idea of how much I have to write, but it's like an autobiographical statement, um, questions about faith and what I believe, and basically just seeing, can I articulate my beliefs in a way that a minister should be able to articulate their beliefs.
Okay.
So it's a lot of writing. It's a whole lot of writing.
I'm trying to contemplate my beliefs and writing my beliefs such that it would get me to 46 pages.
Well, it does. There are prompt questions. Like there are certain things that you have to answer, like they want you to answer. So it does help. But, it's a balance of what are the things I learned, like quoting things, scripture and theologians versus
Support for your beliefs.
how I personally believe, how that affects
Mhm.
my belief. So, and you get readers, like there are all these people that are going to read it to make sure that I'm not saying anything dumb, and it's a whole thing. So, um, I'm working on that.
Well, good. And when do you have to? Is that like an end of the school year turn in, or what's your?
No, well, yeah, end of so I don't I believe the deadline will get me a interview in October.
So you
So
have to by
yeah,
October
it has to be turned in well before that, but like
of this year.
of next year,
Oh, okay.
because I gotta then read it.
I was suddenly feeling real good about you that you were just starting it and you had to turn it in October because that is 1000% what I would
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's what I'm trying to do the bulk of it this summer because I've got classes in the fall. Spring will be easier, but um
Listen, there's no possible way on the face of the planet that if I had a paper that was due in over a year,
yeah.
that I could even be contemplating it.
I think it might be March. I may be wrong about that. I think maybe I'm turning it in March and then my interview's in October,
Okay.
maybe.
Even still, I'm
That
really
doesn't even seem right because I would be commissioned in June. So maybe it's due this October and then I interview in March. I don't know. I just know I got to start working on it. I got a
at
lot to
any,
do.
at any rate, I'm really like I tell people all the time that like practicing law is a series of putting out fires.
Yeah.
And so whatever fire is currently burning brightest is the one I'm gonna pay attention to. And let me
Yeah.
tell you what would not be a fire burning brightly. The paper due in over a year. So I'm just real impressed. That's what I'm
Thank
saying.
you. It's um it's a lot. It's determines my future. So it's a lot
I,
of pressure on
I
top of
hear
that.
you.
So
I'm just here to tell you still.
I
But
know, right?
wouldn't happen.
Ay, ay, ay.
I
So
saw
anyway,
I think
that's the
it was a
plan.
tweet. I can't remember if it was a meme or a tweet or something, but it was like the moment my life was ruined was that time in college where I realized I had a paper due the next day and I started writing it at 10 p.m.
I
and
know,
wrote all
right?
night and still made an A. Like that was the moment my life was ruined. From then on, I'm never planning ahead on anything.
I know, right?
Awful.
Not doing it.
Well, what else besides writing?
I'll probably, try to get into some kind of routine with, going to J More, getting fresh vegetables for the week. I need to go down to the Cap Farmers Market because I'm out of bacon, and theirs is my favorite. So, um, but really nothing, planned out, which is nice.
Mhm.
I have several friends that have said, let's go to the pool or let's go to the lake. And so, I mean, that'll happen throughout the summer, but I really don't have anything concrete, which is really super nice.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Enjoy. What
Yes.
summer's for?
I am reading books though. So next week in my favorites, I'll have some more book recommendations.
Okay, good.
So,
All right. Well, sounds good.
all
Enjoy.
right, friends. And well, the biggest thing coming up is all these, Olympic trial stuff and baseball. And so that's what I'm going to be doing.
Good.
At some
Yeah.
point we got to talk about meals. Like what, we love a theme. So what are we going to be cooking for the Olympics? So, you know,
I
that
feel like that's
coming up.
more your forte.
Well, you're the cook though.
I always enjoy hearing what you come up with. I myself am typically
You do it for the Olympics.
just like to talk to you about what you've
Okay.
done.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out. Something French. I don't normally cook French food, so we'll have to figure something out.
I feel like we could do
We could do it. We could do it. All right,
it.
friends. Well, Birch and Mandee, not Mandy, you're Mandee. Brooker, sorry. Birch and Brooker and all our people, we're so glad that we have you. Birch gave us lots of joy this week as well, and we love her. So hello to everybody. Go find your people.
Bye, y'all.